Johnny thinks he was about 10 years old when he first noticed that his surname was a semi-palindrome. It was as hard to be precise about when he first noticed it, just as it was to specify when he first learnt to ride a bike. Did you know your family name spelt backwards is Voyager? Johnny didn't have a clue what the kid was on about, so feigned understanding and said, "Have you just noticed? Duh." But when he actually wrote out his surname on a piece of paper and reconstructed the words Voyager by writing out Regayov to be sure of it, it hit him for 6. To others, it was just a weird chance, but to Johnny, it was destiny. Fate had selected him for something great. He pointed it out to his mum and dad. "Of course we know," they said. "We thought you knew ages ago." "But you told me my great-grandparents were Ukrainian immigrants." "And so they were. Yuri and Masha Regayov," said Dad. "Came over in 1924 to escape the Russian Revolution." Do you think they knew that in English the name Regayov was Voyager spelt backwards? Probably not. And even if they did, why would they care? They couldn't write their names and had probably never seen a camera. Their name might not have even been Regayov. Names were written how they were pronounced in those days. But Regayov is now our family name. It's unusual and definitely foreign, but there's no escaping it. Unless you're ashamed of it. "No way," said Johnny. It made Johnny feel special, chosen, picked out. He had seen black and white photos of Yuri and Masha shortly after they had arrived in Newcastle on a freighter from Odessa in Ukraine. Plain-faced folk bewildered with their new world. They arrived with a suitcase and the clothes they stood up in and lived in a hostel and moved south to a mining village called Ferry Hill in 1930, where Yuri got a job as a coal miner and the family got a council house, and where Johnny's granddad Stan was born in 1935. And it was after they moved to Darlington in 1945 that Johnny's dad Walter was born in 1947, and Johnny himself, an only child, in 1967. They were a family who had only ever worked with their bare hands. No universities, no education. School had taught them how to spell their names and add up. After that, everyone left school as soon as they could and started working. He was invited to eat dinner with Olga's French boyfriend, Carl. There were a dozen diners. Before eating, everybody said bon appétit. Nobody in Dnalgny had ever said enjoy your meal to him. And once he started eating, it never stopped. Johnny's programmed British stomach was out of sync with French life. The ritual went on for 2 hours and included 5 courses. They started with apéro, nuts, crisps, snacks of tiny slices of toast with foie gras, and then came a slice of melon and a half avocado, by which time he was still starving. Then came the main course, and after that a selection of cheeses, and finally dessert. The final dish, the dessert, usually the best part of a meal, was horrible. Who ever heard of mixing chocolate with pears and calling it a pie? But he loved the inference that unless 2 people sharing a toast over drinks made an effort to look into each other's eyes at that exact moment, each would suffer 7 years of sexual misery, according to the custom. That made him laugh. One of them repeated the word meuf and nana when talking in French about his relationships with women. Johnny had never heard the word meuf or nana before, and asked what it meant. To him, a nana was an English grandma. The Frenchman laughed and said, "It is Verlin, of course, mon pote." Johnny got even more confused. Verlin, pot. Verlin means à l'envers. How do you say reverse language? We French reverse many of our words and make them into argot. How do you say argot? Ah, slang. Slang, yes. So we take the word femme and we turn it around and we add a couple of letters, or we take them away, and we have the word meuf. A nana is a... The man struggled and asked across to Olga, and she said, "Chick." "Yes," said the man, "chick." This was news to Johnny. The French had their own backward slang language. He suddenly felt like he'd come home. He had heard of back slang, supposedly invented by the Cockney traders in London to communicate in a language others could not understand, but in his time in London he had never heard it used. For most of his adult life he kept secret the fact that he was forever reversing words for fear of people calling him crazy. But now, ha! How do you say that's crazy? He asked. Un truc d'ouf. Ouf. Ouf is fou in reverse. And fou, you know, is mad or crazy. The next day, Johnny went to the local cyber cafe and researched this new discovery, and was amazed and amused to see dozens of slang words the French reversed.